Hello, this is Greg Wagner for CIS 129. So basically, for today's class, what we're going to do for this video is we'll show you how to make arrays and how to kind of the best access them. And so there's basically two ways to make an array. And to touch the point home, an array is a collection of data that's sequential in memory that's all of the same type. And so for the pseudocode assignment coming up, what you'll need to do, which is, let me check to see which one it is. Pseudocode 6 is the array one. Basically what you're going to need to do is create an array that has test values. And then you're going to read in from another array the test answers, and you can just randomly put those values in. You don't have questions or anything like that. And then you'll compare the values. And so to set this up, basically you'll need two arrays and then some sort of scoring values. So to get you started, I'm going to show you basically two ways to initialize arrays. And so these arrays are going to be letters. So I'm going to do the char type, which holds letters, and this is a 16-bit type. It's basically a 16-bit number, and it can kind of manipulate the data to hold the values. And I'm going to call this answer key. And then for this first answer key, this is one way to initialize a value. If you know what the values are going to be before you create the value, and then so notice here, I'm going to do char, and then I'm going to put braces, and then the value. And this basically tells the operating system that you're going to be initializing values for an array. And so for characters, you just use single quotes instead of double quotes. So I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and E. And what this will do is put those 5 values in their answer key, and then also make an array of size 5. So if I wanted to print out these values, so let me put a little note here. One way to initialize an array if you know the values. So this is how you do it if you do the values ahead of time, which normally isn't the case. And then if you want to loop through these values, and this is why we do loops before we do arrays, you can make a loop that says for int, I'll call this counter, I guess I'll just call this II equals 0, while II is less than answer key. If you dot length for an array, it will return the value. So in this case, dot length will equal to 5. And so we'll keep on going until you get to 5. And then II plus plus. And then I'll say system dot out dot println letter, and then I'll put this bracket here. I'll say letter, and then plus II plus colon plus, and I'll do answer key II. So when you code up the pseudocode, basically just put the values from the key that I give you in the assignment or from the textbook in the values. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to compile, and then I'm going to run this. Notice here it prints out the letters. Notice that the letters go from 0 to 4. So arrays, the numbering starts with 0 because basically think about this as the first letter is the answer key. It basically says, okay, this is the start. And then so the number here is the offset. So you have a 0 offset for the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the first one you want to do. And then for the second way is another way to initialize. And this way, we're not going to put if you don't know the values. And so say you don't know what the values are, but you know what the size is, either from what your previous knowledge is or you learn it someplace else. So I'm going to go char brackets question equals new, and then I'm going to do char again, so new basically tells the operating system, okay, I want you to allocate some more memory while we're running the program. And then do char, and then the size, so I'll do 5 in this case, and put the value in here. And so in this instance, I'm going to go in and put the values later. So what you need to do for pseudocode 6 is make a loop. So in this case, for the assignment, the value is not going to be 5, it's going to be 20. But you're going to do a loop, and you're going to loop through the values, asking the user using the either scanner or buffered input to read in the values for the answers. But in this case, I'm just going to type it out. So I'm going to go question 0 equals, I'll just go reverse order, E. Question 1 equals F. And then to kind of speed things up for E and D, I can't do the alphabet backwards in my head. C, B, and then A. And then make sure that your numbers are changing. So I got 0, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do the same thing from here. So I'm going to change the value. So the scope, the weird thing about for loops, the scope of this value here ends at this place. So I can technically use this number again, but sometimes I like to change it up just to avoid confusion. So I'm going to change this to question, and then do JJ, and I'll do JJ here, and then I'll type in question here. And so I'm going to compile this and run it. So notice how it does the first sets of letters down here, then I'll do the second set of letters down here. And then so what you need to add to this assignment is, instead of manually writing the letters in here, you need to have in the for loop for the second array, you need to have a scanner like I said before. And then remember, for the first loop, you can just type in the letters like up here, or any way you do it, just preload them. And then what you're going to do for the last portion is, at the very end, you have another for loop that compares the values in the first array to the second array, and then tally up the score. So it's going to say, okay, this value matches. And for characters, you can just use the equals. You don't have to use the dot equals like you do with strings. If you do use these as strings, which would mean it has double quotes, which is not the case. These are characters. You do have to use the dot equals. Anyway, you want to do a comparison, and then you're going to add up all the ones that are the same, having an if loop within the last for loop that's checking the answers. And then if there's the values less than 15 correct answers, you push out a message saying you failed the test. And if it's above 15, you say you passed the test. So I hope this helps you get started with the assignment. If you have any questions, please email me. And I hope you have a nice week.